These were his brothers and sisters, those who came from his little village area in Nazareth, and they came because they heard what he was doing. Actually, this particular section of the reading goes a little further. We only read a section of it. They came because he was being accused of being a wacko. He was saying things that really didn't make sense. That we should all be responsible for the poor, that we should take care of the sick, that we should feed the hungry and put them first. And that didn't make sense in a very hungry area of the Semite culture. They were overruled by Romans, and the Romans didn't treat them very well. They had heavy taxes, so they were burdened. The people themselves were burdened. And you think they wanted to hear more burdens, like take care of one another and put the other person first? So probably someone went back to his mother and said, your son's lost it. You know, he's saying things that don't make sense, that we should be taking care of the stranger and the homeless, that we are responsible for people who are ill. That's exactly what he was saying. You know that as well as I do. So she wasn't divine, she was his mother, a special woman, so she probably got some of the neighbors, let's go find him and bring him home because he needs to be taken care of. And Jesus, Mary's mentioned at least twice in the scriptures vis-a-vis Jesus, and both times she comes out on the bottom of the ladder. Remember the one at Cana? You know, why it's not my time to take care of their party. And if you don't know the story, just read the Gospel of John. But here, his mother's outside. And I tell you, I couldn't do that to my mother. If my mother was outside and somebody said to me, your mother wants you, I'd be out there. Because you didn't take anything from my mother. She called it the way it was. Some of the stories I remember, I was in the seminary. Now that was in New Jersey, and she lived in Jersey City. And the seminary was at least an hour away, okay, in Darlington, North Jersey. And one time, this happened more than once. I spoiled her, I guess. She calls up and says, Betty's son is going through problems and he needs to talk to somebody. Now, these are the days before we used psychologists or therapists. So I said, what am I going to do about that? She says, you're coming in tonight. He'll be here for supper, so be here at 6. It wasn't an invitation, it was a mandate. That's how Rose was. So she gave me the mandate. And I've been living off that mandate since then. So Jesus' mother's outside and his brothers, and Jesus makes a very interesting analogy. He says, the people who listen to him, are his mother, his brothers, his sisters. If we think of that, again, we're talking family, and we think of the reading from Micah, when Micah is telling God, shepherd your people, Lord, take care of your inheritance, be with us. And God, what does God do? God corrects our faults and raises us up when we have fallen. He gives us what we need, and he swears to our ancestors. Before Mass, I was talking to someone, Carol, about her living in this area years ago, and her ancestors, her mother and her grandmother in this area. So our ancestors are very important. So Micah, inspired by God to speak to the people of Israel and to speak to us, is reminding us who are our parents. We know our biological parents, but as the Creator, God is our Father, and God is the head of our family.